You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
I had a feeling this was gonna happen. Guys, it's been a weird day so far. Can you hear me now? Ooh. Let me know. Can you hear me? Let's see. Okay, you can hear me. You can hear me now. All right. We're going to have a funky little view today because, wow, technology is really challenging me. But I made it. I'm here. Let's talk about Independence Day. Let's talk about the 4th of July and why we celebrate America's independence on the 4th of July, because it has to do with astrology. This view is going to drive me nuts, but you know what? It is what it is. You guys get a weird little behind the scenes view down here too. Okay, so let's start by talking about who else is celebrating their birthday today. So July 4th marks America's solar return, right? When the sun comes back to the same point in the sky that it was when the Declaration of Independence was signed. Really interesting though, Post Malone was born on the 4th of July. Malia Obama, interesting, a president's daughter, born on the 4th of July. Elie Saab, a designer. Calvin Coolidge. Not that many July 4th babies, actually. I know a few people in real life who have July 4th birthdays. All right, but the reason we celebrate the 4th of July on July 4th is because of astrology. And we'll get into today's forecast. We'll talk about the energy of today. But first, let's talk about the history of this holiday. So, our founding fathers were really big on astrology. I posted a reel about this earlier today on Instagram. But many of the founding fathers used astrology. Benjamin Franklin published in Poor Richard's Almanac all the time about astrology. And America's independence, you know, they drafted the Declaration of Independence actually on July 2nd. So it was ready to go, ready to be signed on July 2nd. But the moon was in Capricorn, and it was a full moon, right? The sun was in Cancer, the moon was in Capricorn, it was a full moon. And so the founding fathers said, you know what? This is not a favorable time to sign the Declaration because a full moon, you know, now we tend to see the spiritual abundance of the full moon. But in history, full moons were kind of known as these times where mishaps happen, mistakes happen. And even now we see, you know, like emergency room visits go up around a full moon. So that wasn't favorable. And when the moon is in Capricorn, it's in its weakest position. And the founding fathers knew that. So they waited until July 4th to wait for the moon to move into Aquarius to sign the Declaration of Independence. And so as you are celebrating the 4th of July today, honoring America, or whatever you're deciding to do on this holiday, just know that you have the day off work, or, you know, you are marking America's independence on this day because of astrology. Pretty cool. And also worth noting that Benjamin Franklin himself was a Capricorn, which I think is, you know, he's like one of the most notable founding fathers, and Capricorn being the sign of the father. I just think that's interesting. But I love to say that on the 4th of July, especially to the naysayers who are not into astrology, like, you're celebrating today because of astrology. And I'm sure this is not the only holiday, the only occasion in history that was shaped because of what was going on in the planets and stars, because for thousands of years, humans have been making decisions based on the stars and planets. So let's talk. I'm back. Can you guys hear me? Oh my goodness. Today's just going to be one of those days. It's going to challenge me. I like all of your commentary. Can you hear me now, though? I have a feeling you can hear me better now. Uh-oh. Yeah. I'm back, you guys. It's going to be a little bit of a messy show recording, but I appreciate you hanging in there with me. Let's talk about what's going on today. You see and hear me. Amazing. Thank you, Danielle. Okay, let's take a look at the chart and talk about what's happening. So, of course, the sun is still in Cancer, right in the middle of Cancer season now. The moon is in Virgo today. And when the moon is in Virgo, we're all feeling more productive, very service-oriented. The moon and sun are supporting each other when they're in Cancer and Virgo. And it's, for the most part, really good vibes today. So you'll have to forgive me, you guys. I'm like all over the place trying to keep up with what's going on my computer. Let's talk about the major planetary shifts that are happening today, though, because it's not just a normal day. It's not just a normal 4th of July. We have Mars moving into a new sign. We have Mercury moving into a new sign. And right when that happens, they connect with each other. So let's talk about Mercury first. Okay, here we go. So actually, we'll talk about Mars first. I'm just changing my mind left and right today, all over the place. So Mars enters Taurus at 11 p.m., right after 11 p.m. Pacific time. So while many of the 4th of July festivities are winding down, or for most people at least, maybe you're still out watching fireworks at 11 p.m., Mars is entering Taurus. Now, it's important to talk about Mars entering Taurus and what's going to be going on right around 9-10 p.m. when people are watching fireworks, right? Because fireworks, flammable. Mars will be at the anaretic degree, and so will Mercury when many of us are celebrating. The anaretic degree is that 29th degree. It's very restless energy. It's kind of a jumpy energy. So I would just say be extra careful with what you're doing to celebrate tonight. That goes without saying, please be careful around fireworks, but just be especially careful with Mars at the anaretic degree. Mars will enter Taurus at 11 p.m. And what does this mean for us? Well, when Mars has been at home in the sign of Aries, right? And when it enters Taurus, it's almost as if we can take this raw energy we've been working with for the past 5 weeks, 6 weeks or so, and really get grounded into it. Really dig our heels in. Mars in Taurus gives us determination. It gives us more stamina, and we're more steadfast in the actions we're taking with Mars in Taurus. We can pace ourselves a little bit more easily. We might move a little bit more slower than we have with Mars in Aries. Mars in Aries has just been like, go, do it now. Here we go. Mars in Taurus is like, okay, we have plenty of time. Let's just take our time, make sure that all the actions we're taking align with our values, and it'll feel like every move we make almost carries greater weight with Mars and Taurus. This is also a time to like physically move, like make physical moves, change things in your surroundings, or take physical objects and move them. Like Taurus rules the physical. So Mars and Taurus will see a lot of physical movement. Taurus is also the sign associated with sensuality, and Mars is a very sexual energy. So you could imagine over the next 6 weeks or so with Mars and Taurus, things feeling more tactile, just really feeling more hands-on. And we know what we want. With Mars and Taurus, we have kind of tried all these things with Mars and Aries. We've just kind of flown by the seat of our pants with Mars and Aries. Mars and Taurus is like, we know what we want and we're taking action towards those things. We're motivated by security. We're motivated by comfort. We want what we want, and we know what we have to do to get it. So that's what's happening right around 11 p.m. And pretty much at the same time, Mercury enters Cancer. Really interesting that Mercury enters Cancer on the 4th of July. This feels very 4th of July for whatever reason. The USA is a Cancer. And with Mercury in Cancer, Mercury's been in its home sign of Gemini. So both Mars and Mercury are moving from their home sign to another sign. Mercury in Cancer, all of our thoughts and words are going to be very emotionally charged over the next 3 weeks. Cancer, we know, is a very emotional sign. It's very nurturing. So part of our thought process is, how can we take care of others? How can we be sensitive to other people's needs and more nurturing? I can almost see this as like not even needing to use words with Mercury in Cancer. Like a hug speaks 1,000 words. Your physical touch, your comfort food is your way of communicating, So it's kind of like using the body to communicate in a lot of ways as well. But when we do speak with Mercury in Cancer, our words come from this very like motherly, nurturing place, which is really nice. And we're going to be talking and thinking about family dynamics more, with Cancer ruling the home, ruling the family. A lot of your thoughts could involve your actual house, home improvement, or if you have babies on the brain, there could be part of you that's like thinking about your own family dynamic and how you want to see it evolve, getting a lot of ideas around family connection. But I just see Mercury in Cancer as a very emotionally communicative time. Like we're willing to just tell people we love them and how much we care about them. Mercury in Gemini is like, let's start all the conversations right now. Let's learn about all the things. Mercury in Cancer is much more familial. And you might even find yourself like wanting to learn more about your family with Mercury in Cancer, wanting to call your mom with Mercury in Cancer. And I love that this is happening on the 4th of July when so many of us are spending time with our families. So, it's like Mercury in Cancer is like that great conversation with your mom. That's how I see it. And when Mercury and Mars, so Mercury's at the anaretic degree today as well. If we look at the chart, you can see Mercury at 29 degrees right now, Mars at 29 degrees right now. So not only is it like watch your actions tonight because we're all a little jumpier with Mars at the anaretic degree, but we're also more willing to just say things with Mercury at the anaretic degree in Gemini. There's not much of a filter right now. And with Mercury ruling technology, as I'm saying this, I'm like, oh, no wonder why all my technology today has been so finicky and like not wanting to operate how it should. Mercury's at the anaretic degree. So I would say if anything you are doing today relies on technology, give yourself a little extra time, double check things. Not quite as much of a snafu as Mercury retrograde, but still Mercury at the anaretic degree can cause some communication issues too if we speak too quickly. Mars and Mercury both connecting with each other in a sextile, you can see that blue line today, at the anaretic degree just makes us all more restless, jumpy in our words and our actions. And tonight, when right after they both move into new signs, Mercury and Mars lock into that sextile at 0 degrees. So all day today, Mercury and Mars are working with each other, kind of talking to one another, if you will. And they officially connect right when they enter new signs, which is pretty interesting. So what happens when Mercury and Mars form a sextile to one another? Well, it's like our thoughts are talking with our actions. They're working together. And so you could have like a surge of mental energy late tonight where you're like wanting to have all these conversations, or you get all these ideas coming through and insights coming through. Mars also can give us some courage. So today, tonight, really throughout the day, you could have more courage to speak your mind, to be bold about your ideas, your thoughts, more direct, more assertive, even more honest in your communication. This is a really great time for marking off difficult tasks on your to-do list. Mars gives us that stamina, that determination, and Mercury kind of rules our daily tasks and things. So especially around your home when Mercury enters Cancer, and this will carry us through tomorrow. It's like all the things that have been on your list that you haven't wanted to do, Mars and Mercury are going to give you kind of that little push to help you get them done. With Mercury in Cancer and Mars in Taurus, again, this is like you could find I don't want to say courage, but like the will to have a conversation about family planning. With Mercury in Cancer talking about the family, Mars and Taurus, very physically focused, bodily focused, also your bodily needs. That could be a conversation that comes to the forefront today. And Mars and Mercury together, it's like Mars, our desires, our actions are working together with our thoughts. This can create kind of like a flirty vibe too. Mars brings this like sensual, sexual energy with Mars and Taurus, and Mercury in Cancer is all about speaking our mind, speaking our body's needs. So you can see how those two could work together too. It's like all day today, we know what we want, we know how to get it, and we're willing to speak our mind, and we're willing to ask for it too, which is kind of nice. So that's the main energy we're feeling today, Mercury and Mars working together. We did a house project this morning, and it was going smoothly until I fell off the ladder. Oh my gosh, I'm glad you're okay. That Mars at the anaretic degree. I don't like predicting like accidents happening or anything, but just be really careful today, you guys, with two inner planets at the anaretic degree. Yes, they're helping each other out, but we're all just a little bit more jumpy, reckless. Oh my gosh. Your husband mentioned thinking about having a sec. I guarantee your husband is going to bring up having another kid sometime again, either today with like all the 4th of July stuff going on, or in the next couple days. Like, it's that Mercury in Cancer energy. We're talking, we're thinking about our family dynamics. So let's talk about what's going on with the moon today. Really, Mercury and Mars are ruling the story this 4th of July. We're feeling that antsy energy. And then once they move into new signs, we're kind of like, okay, they're here, but we're still like ready. Even when planets are both at the 0 degree, or any planet is at the 0 degree, it's like this eagerness to do something, to start something. So that's why I say late tonight, as you're falling asleep, maybe you're next to your partner, you spent the day with family. It's like, oh, should we have a kid? Should we? I could definitely see that, like people being very eager to have these conversations tonight. The moon is in Virgo, as I mentioned. So let's talk about what's going on with this Virgo moon. The Virgo moon already made a couple connections this morning. First, the moon formed a sextile to the sun at 12 degrees. The moon and sun, we've been talking about this sextile, got to kind of lean into the energy to take full advantage of it, but we probably woke up feeling pretty confident, pretty, excited for the day ahead, for whatever your day looks like. Especially if you live in America, you probably have the day off. Maybe you're excited to spend time with family, friends. the moon and sun connecting in this way just make us feel more confident, more outgoing. We're more confident in our abilities, eager to connect with other people. It's a great way to start the day. That was 5 a.m. 7 a.m., the moon squared off to Venus. So you can see when it was at 14 degrees, the moon and Venus locking into this square, and we're still feeling that energy right now. When the moon squares off to Venus, we need to feel pleasure. We have this like urge to feel good. Venus is associated with pleasure, beauty, love. So we could have a physical like craving for love earlier in the day today. I notice whenever the moon squares off to Venus, I'm like, I want a tasty treat. That's how it usually manifests for me. And with the moon in Virgo, it's all about our health, our wellness. We're kind of perfectionistic, critical with the moon in Virgo. So there could be part of you that's like, I really am honoring my body and taking care of my health, but Venus in Gemini is like, no, I want what I want and I want it right now. And I'm just gonna get the thing today because it's a holiday and it's fine, as I drink my sugary coffee. But when the moon squares off to Venus, you could even feel like, now that I'm talking about it, I need a sip of coffee. When the moon squares off to Venus, it could feel like you can't wait to eat the good food later, or to be around family later, or, you could feel a little bit like you have these intense needs right now that you want to be met. And it can be, again, that like restless energy waiting for the day to get going, the festivities to start, the moon squaring off to Venus. We're all reaching for pleasure. We all want to feel good. Makes sense why I had a buttery chocolate chip cookie for breakfast. This never happens. Yeah, this was at 7 a.m. too, I believe. So, and like I said, we're still feeling this energy right now. So yeah, I did the same thing. I mean, we have our like go-to order at our favorite coffee place, but I was like, get like a sugary pastry today. Why not? It's a holiday. That's the moon squaring off to Venus. And you could have this intense urge to connect with other people too, with Venus and Gemini, like really wanting to spark those conversations, relate to other people. Or do something a little bit exciting and out of the ordinary. So yeah, the energy has been a little restless this morning, but things are changing. Things change around 3 p.m. when the moon forms a trine to Uranus. So this is this afternoon, 17 degrees, the moon and Uranus lock into this earthy trine, this harmonious angle to one another. Uranus is a planet of disruption, change, surprises, innovation. So when the moon and Uranus talk to each other like this, when they connect in this really balanced, harmonious angle, we are excited. We are craving a surprise. We're craving a thrill. And it's probably going to happen pretty easily because this energy doesn't require any effort. It's all flow. It just lets the unexpected happen. And so, don't be surprised if your plans change by mid-afternoon or there's some sort of surprise that comes up. Maybe someone you weren't expecting to show up at your 4th of July barbecue shows up today. And I would say the best way to use this energy, to take advantage of this energy, is just to stay open to it. Stay open to the possibilities, welcome surprises, welcome changes. Whatever this disruption looks like on this 4th of July for you, it'll likely bring good fortune and maybe even bring some innovation, like make things better than they were planned to be. So in the moment, we can be a little bit like, this is how things need to go under the Virgo moon, but Uranus and Taurus is like, let me change things up for you. So just remember, any disruptions, any changes are happening for the highest good. This is a really positive connection, a really positive aspect, and anything unexpected is probably going to have a positive outcome. So just open to it. I will say too, I notice Mercury at the anaretic degree. I don't know if you guys feel this way as well, but it's like my speech, I'm just like all over the place, just jumping and getting ahead of myself. So you guys have been great. Thanks for hanging with me this morning. The last connection we'll talk about today is at 7 p.m. The moon forms a trine to the North Node. And of course, the North Node isn't a major planet or anything like that, but I love to talk about it because you'll see Uranus and the North Node are very close to one another over here. And so after this change, this surprise, this unexpected occurrence happens, the moon a couple hours later connects with the North Node. And this is just showing us, like, this is the direction we're supposed to head. This is the path of least resistance. Maybe that change, that unexpected thing is lighting the way. You know, it's like fireworks are lighting up the night sky at this point, and they could also spark inspiration about the direction we are meant to head. I love fireworks. I know that that's so lame, like, yay, fireworks, but there's just something about watching the light explode. I don't know. It sparks inspiration for a lot of people. So let that inspiration lead you tonight as the moon harmonizes with the North Node. As these planets are getting ready to shift, as you're having these thoughts and ideas and these conversations and talking with family and all these things, like, allow new insights to come in, allow new ideas to come in, and you know, whatever is coming through right now, I wouldn't say immediately act on it, but if you're having big ideas tonight or, you know, just some seemingly random thoughts, know that they could be actually leading you down the path you're supposed to walk. I love fireworks too, not lame. You know, I will say, Danielle, this 4th of July feels a little odd. It feels odd to be celebrating America, and I'm sure we've all seen the memes and things on Instagram that's like, we don't deserve the fireworks this year, we don't deserve it, you know, America's falling apart. But I love that we started this conversation, as chaotic as the beginning of the show was. I love that we started this conversation talking about how the 4th of July has roots in astrology, talking about the founding fathers, talking about their vision for this country. And I do think it's really beautiful to reflect on that at least once a year. You know, we all come together and we have pride for the country on some level, you know, and I think it can be a really beautiful healing energy when we're all in this, like, wow, we all belong to this one country. We all are celebrating our independence from Great Britain. Like, really think about what we're celebrating today. The fact that, you know, we're our own country. That's what the 4th of July is all about. Like, we separated from a king, from rulership, and declared our sovereignty, literally declared our independence. I also love that we've been talking so much about sovereignty and bodily autonomy with Lilith and Cancer. And like I said, Cancer season, you know, 4th of July, America is a Cancer. Mercury's moving into Cancer today. I know there are some protests planned today as well, but it is a beautiful thing that we live in a country where we're allowed to protest, where we're allowed to speak our voice, where we are allowed to wear what we want to wear and say what we want to say and be who we want to be and have the jobs we want to have and start a business, quit our jobs. Like, we have freedoms that many people in other countries don't have. So as frustrating as it can be to live in America right now and just to live in the world right now, I think it's really a beautiful opportunity to recognize the freedoms we do have and the privileges we do have just living here and being born into this country or having citizenship in this country or even just visiting this country. Happy 4th to you too as well, Michael. One other thing I want to mention about the 4th of July is that the USA is in its Pluto return. And I did a full episode of The Spiritual Journalist on this in February, on the US's first hit of its Pluto return. But now that Pluto has stationed retrograde in the month of July, it's at the same spot it was at in 1776 when the Declaration of Independence was signed. 27 degrees and 33 minutes is the exact Pluto return. And let's see, right now, we're at 27 degrees and 42 minutes. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll be exact. But really, this entire year, 2022, is kind of like the USA's Pluto return because Pluto's swinging back and forth. It's right around this range. It's within a few degrees of its natal Pluto. throughout the entire year. And so if you're feeling like, what the heck is going on in our country? Why is everything happening? I'll throw a link to that episode in the comments. You can also find it on my YouTube channel, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Pluto Return or look for the Spiritual Journalist playlist. It is interesting to talk about the transformation, Pluto being the planet of death and rebirth, the transformation that America has gone through each Pluto phase, as Pluto has gone through each of the signs. So that's how we went through the episode, talking about what was going on in US history when Pluto was in different signs. And Pluto's been in Capricorn for a few years now. It won't move out of Capricorn until, I believe, 2023 at some point. And Capricorn is the sign of the patriarchy, structures, authority, government. And we're seeing a lot of death and rebirth of the government, a lot of destruction in order for new systems to be reborn. So that can be something as well that just to keep in mind as we're talking about the US today. Maybe even at your family barbecue, some debates come up that you did not want to come up. That could be the moon and Uranus too. Like, okay, the unexpected surprise could be that conversation that Uncle so-and-so decided to start that nobody really wanted to have today, but now everybody's all fired up about it. We've all been there, right? Just throw in there, you know what? The US is going through its Pluto return. In the next year, we're going to be reborn as a nation. And that's what the episode of The Spiritual Journalist is called, Rebirth of a Nation. So we are in this rebirth phase. It's the first time the US has had its Pluto return. That's how long it takes for Pluto to make its way around the sun. So if it feels like the past couple years have been revealing the faulty foundations of our country, it's because they have, and because we have to see what needs to die, see what needs to fall away in order to build a more steady structure, a more steady government foundation moving forward. Really interesting that we're in this time, and when you start to see astrologically what's happened as Pluto has moved through the signs. But just, you know, for me, astrology helps me make sense of the world around me, and knowing that we are in the second hit of the US's Pluto return is kind of reassuring in a way. Like, everything that's happening is happening for a reason. Let's talk about today's affirmation, and then we'll pull a card. Today's affirmation is, I know what I want. I know what I want. This just came through because of the whole Mercury-Mars connection. Like, Mars is after something. It wants something. It has a desire. It's moving towards something. It's trying to attain something, right? And Mercury is all about knowing, thoughts, words. So when these two connect with each other, it's like, I know what I want and I'm ready to go after it. Now, you might want a lot of different things today with Mercury and Mars at the anaretic degree. You might want this, this, and this, but just get clear on your desires today and allow yourself to have what you want today. It's a freaking holiday, you know, have the buttery chocolate chip cookie like Rose was talking about. And if you're doubting yourself at all, you know what you want. Deep down, you really know what you want. And so listen to your body, listen to yourself, listen to what it wants, listen to what you want. You inherently know what you want. Let's pull a tarot card. I'm going to pull from the Lightworker Oracle deck today, my original deck, my first deck, and just felt right. It just called to me, asked to be pulled from. As I'm getting these ready, shuffling them up, this is your chance to ask your questions. Let me know what you're doing this 4th of July, how you're spending your holiday. If you have any fun traditions that you want to share with the class, how you spend your 4th, or any ideas you have for us too. Anything fun you do, maybe a tradition, an intention you set, a way that you honor yourself, your family, your country. I'd love to hear it. Okay, let's get these shuffled up. Get my feet planted on the ground. And we'll see what needs to come through. Okay, take a deep breath. And exhale. What do we need to know? I've never pulled this card. The second ray of wisdom, card number 2. Second ray of wisdom. What message does it have for us today? The second ray of wisdom is a consciousness of loving wisdom straight from the heart of the universe. It amplifies the magnetic power of attraction, empowering you to pull into your life all that is needed for your life's work. It brings the opportunity to heal, restore, and understand through the power of love and the light of ancient wisdom. The spiritual master known as the Buddha is with you now to help you fully receive and integrate the blessing of this ray of light from the universe. The second ray of wisdom is the energy of the open and loving heart of the universe. It is inclusive, drawing all things toward it with an invisible magnetism. It is gifted to you at this time to help you attract into your life the people, opportunities, and teachings that will help you succeed in your life mission. This ray will help you focus your consciousness in your heart. It will bring to consciousness any unresolved matters of the heart for healing. This includes not only issues of relationship, but also any issues around trusting your heart to lead you. This ray will help heal your heart in an affirming and nurturing way. The challenge with this ray, given that it is so magnetic and attractive, is learning to discern and to say no when you need to. Imagine a fisherman who casts a very wide net and catches most of the ocean in it. Not everything is useful or even desired by this fisherman. While some things are gratefully accepted by the fisherman, other things are best returned to the ocean where they belong. Being able to trust in future abundance is important. You will not need to hold on to every opportunity, person, or situation out of fear of loss or lack. Instead, you are learning to live in true abundance and flow. Practice feeling comfortable and letting go as well as receiving. Trust that the universe has all that you want and need in unlimited supply. The universe will provide for you, dear child of light. This is a very different way of thinking to how most humans are conditioned from an early age, but it's never too late to change one's mind and open one's heart to more loving, abundant, and enjoyable ways to live. When the Buddha comes into your world, he brings the gift of wisdom. That includes openness to all that is, without judgment. This might be the struggle that will eventually be revealed as a blessing in disguise. It might be the challenge that causes you to grow into readiness for the next phase of your divine life mission. Finally, as the second ray of wisdom relates particularly to teachers and education, you are encouraged to trust that you have a message to share that is helpful and educational to others. Whether your involvement in education and teaching is formal or less obvious, you are encouraged to honor the energy of the teacher in your life. In some way, the sole purpose likely involves helping others to learn through wisdom and love. Beautiful card. I love that it has so much to do with an open heart and the fact that it's affirming that you have something to teach others. As a lot of us are getting ready to spend time with family members, sometimes we can, this is just, not everybody feels this way, I will say, but sometimes we can go into these situations and either fall back into past versions of ourselves or be a little bit more guarded with our heart. But you're here, you're learning, you're evolving every day, you're on a spiritual path, and that means you do have wisdom, you do have light, you do have love to share that maybe the people who raised you or who raised your partner or who you grew up with haven't received yet. And so you do have something to offer, you do have something to share, and that doesn't mean you need to necessarily preach about astrology or spirituality to your family, but showing up in a situation with an open heart, with positive energy, can be enough of a teaching in itself. So this card is here to affirm that the second ray of wisdom is with you today, and you have light and love to share. All you have to do is to keep an open heart. Just having a small dinner with the in-laws and other relatives. Aren't as many fireworks here in Hawaii. You don't even need fireworks in Hawaii. You have Hawaii. Like, that is enough of a show in itself, right? New Year's way more than the 4th in Hawaii. Interesting. Probably because Hawaii is not as like patriotic, you know. I feel like correct me if I'm wrong, Rose, but Hawaiians have a more recent history of being colonized than most parts of the country. So I feel like a lot of people who are native there or who live there are like, yeah, we're not really buying into this. Also, you know, Hawaii was like bombed in World War II, like probably not a great experience of American history in Hawaii, but they have all the views and, you know, amazing animals and just energy to make up for it. So, all right, everybody. I hope you're all having a great 4th of July so far. I hope that this video kind of gave you some insight about why we celebrate today and about the fact that astrology is nothing new. Our founding fathers have been using this tool, this practice for hundreds of years before the US was even the US, to make decisions, to find guidance, find strength from the planets. So aligning with the energy today is actually very American. Aligning with the astrological energy is part of the makeup of our history. Hi, Diane. That's okay. The recording is there for you. Have a happy and safe 4th, Angela. Thank you for being here. So if you found this video helpful, please go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can finally monetize this channel, keep these videos coming to you for free every single day. And tomorrow, The Spiritual Journalist is finally back. We have a new episode with Veronica Lee, and we're talking all about the Akashic Records. What are they? How do you tap into them? How do you work with them? Veronica has been a spiritual teacher for many years. She's been a spiritual student essentially her entire life. She grew up around manifestation circles and you know, has multiple people in her family who she grew up with who are spiritual teachers. So she has a lot of wisdom to share, speaking of the second ray of wisdom. And I'm really excited to talk to her about her journey and, you know, get some clear. What are the Akashic Records? Like, that's what I want to know. And if you want to know the same, join us tomorrow right here, wherever you're watching at 1:11 p.m. We're going to have a really fun conversation. I hope you all have a beautiful and safe 4th of July. Remember, Mercury and Mars are both at the anaretic degree today. Be especially careful. Don't get too ahead of yourself. Double check things. And I hope you have a beautiful Independence Day. I will see you right back here tomorrow morning. But until I see you next, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.